most recent addition to the Notable Women of Simmons College Digital Scrapbook Collection. This has been the hard work of the LIS 462 Digital Libraries class. We've been working towards this all semester, and we're very proud to share with you guys what we've all been able to accomplish. So the scrapbook that we've been working with was donated by Marion Ringwood's family, and we have it right up here, so afterwards you can take a look. Please don't touch. And this moment, I just want to give a special thank you to Jason Wood, the archive staff, for helping us out in the process and donating the scrapbook. So today we're going to be presenting to you guys the website that we've been working on, and we'll also show you some aspects of Marion's life while we're going through it. After that, Molly, our project manager, is going to talk about the process behind creating the website. And then finally, we'll go over what the project like this would have cost in the real world. So before we begin, just a few notes about Marion herself. She was born in 1908 in Glens Falls, New York. She came to Simmons to study in the household economics program. And while she was here, she was very involved in many different aspects of student life. And that's something that we really came through in her scrapbook, and we've also tried to share that with you on the website. Not much is known about her life following her time here at Simmons, although she did move back to Glens Falls, married, had 3 children, and passed away there in 1962. So now I'm going to turn it over to Jenny, who's going to show you off some of the homepage and the browsing features, and hope you enjoy.
Thank you. So I am very proud to be the first person to say, here's our digital library, and it is amazing, beautiful. We are all so proud, grateful, relieved, excited to know that as of about 5:30 yesterday afternoon, our site went live. It's great to have all of our friends, fellow students, professors, co-workers, and family members here to see the actual evidence of what has kept us up late all so many nights. And if you want to know who to blame, you can look right back there at our professor, Candy Schwartz. So let's begin. If you look here at the top of the page, you will see there's a lot of information that we will go through. And then there's several headings on the main page itself. So to begin, we have a welcome paragraph that talks about Marion herself and her time here at Simmons College, and there is a picture of her. There's only really 3 photographs of her there. She didn't have a lot that we could find. And then you'll also see a few other tabs. So if you would like to just jump right in and start browsing the scrapbook page by page, you can click here. And this is where we replicated the viewing so that as if you were holding the scrapbook in your hand and leafing through it. And we're going to talk about that more in a minute. And here we have the featured item, which kind of arose out of a debate that we had in class about whether or not we should include a slideshow or a carousel of images in on our website. But Omeka, which is the digital library software that we used to create this website, had this as a built-in feature, so we decided to kind of use this instead. And this presents an image. It highlights a randomly generated image. So anytime you navigate back to this home page or refresh the page, it should bring up a new image for you to see. And you can click on the image here and go view its metadata and zoom in on it and everything if you'd like to. So down at the bottom we have the footer, which is present on every page, and there are helpful links that you can use at any time. So we have a help tab that will take you to our help for searching page. We have an about the project page that is also a tab at the top of the page that tells about how we created this website. We have our terms of use page that the rights committee created to talk about how to use the scrapbook. And then we have 2 external links to the Notable Women of Simmons College collection so that you can look at other scrapbooks if you would like to. And then if you want to contact the archive staff, we have a way for you to do that too. So you're welcome, Jason. So like I said, you can click here to browse page by page, but you can also do that here in this first Browse Scrapbook tab. And on the home page, that will take you directly to browsing page by page, but here you can see that there are other ways to browse through the scrapbook. So you can also browse by item. So if you'd like to look at all the individual items in the scrapbook, you can do that here. And if you would like to browse items by type or items by subject, you can do that here, and there are lists that you can click on to do that, but what we really want to talk about is the browsing page by page feature. So this gives you a way to look at the scrapbook as if you were holding it in your hands, and like I talked about. And so this, if you click here, you can navigate forwards and backwards into the scrapbook. And this first page is a collection of loose items that were not assigned to a page. But if you keep going, the scrapbook actually had a lot of blank pages. So let's go to a page that we can see some good stuff. So here you can see a page that's pretty representative of what Marion's scrapbook looks like. A lot of different items from her life and her time here at Simmons. This is from the freshman frolic. And so at the top you'll see the page itself. And if you'd like to view the individual items, you can scroll down to the bottom here. And you can click on an image. And that will take you into the actual item itself. And so the girl on the right is actually Marion, and they had to wear their hair in curls or whatever, that was part of it. So the image will always be on the left-hand side, the metadata will always be on the right. The metadata was created with Dublin Core, and the fields that were chosen for that were decided on by the metadata committee. They also were the ones that decided we would use Dublin Core. And then the systems committee decided which which fields would be linked and clickable. So if you would like to look at other items from the scrapbook that have the same subject, Marion Ringwood, or students or costumes, you can click here and do that. And down at the bottom, there's a citation for every item, and that citation is based on the preferred citation method that our rights committee created. And let's see, I didn't zoom in. Let's zoom in on that item so we can see it. So in the page view and in the item view, you can zoom in so that you can get a better view of each thing. And looks good. And the relation field has the page number, so you can always click back to the page that you're on. Let's look at another page really quick. This is another page that shows Marion being involved in the activities that she likes. This was the May Day celebration where the sophomores entertained the seniors, and Marion was in this play she helped write. She was the shepherd, and you can see her picture down here. This is her. And I think what's really great about this is that you can also see that she's wearing a hat, and this is the actual hat she was wearing, which is 90 years old, and for 90 years old it actually didn't look too bad. And if you would, some of the images, some of the items had multiple pages, like a letter that had several pages, or a note like this that was folded, and we needed to do multiple scans in order to show the entire item. So for any items that have multiple pages that were multiple scans, they will be shown vertically on the left with the metadata for that item for all the multi-pages on the right. One section of metadata. Okay. So we also wanted to make sure that this website was easy to navigate. So like I said, you can click here to go back to the page view. We also have breadcrumb navigation, so you can use this to go back to where you're coming from. And another best practice would be to be able to click on the logo to go back to the home page, which you can also do. Our systems committee worked very hard to make our website responsive. They did an excellent job. So if you look here, you can see that if you bring it down, it doesn't lose any integrity. And I encourage you to download this on your phone, go to the website on your phone, SLIS.Simmons, it's on the bookmarks, and Ringwood, and look at it on your phone because it's amazing. The website looks really fantastic. So now Connor is going to speak about searching within the scrapbook and other features.
Okay. So there are two different ways of searching within our website. We have a basic search, which is found just in this search bar up here, but we also have an advanced search, which there are two different ways to access. So you can either click advanced search here, and it brings you to this page, or just the search scrapbook page will bring you to the same place. Now, when using the advanced search, this is only used for items. You won't find anything under the Life and Times pages or the For Teachers pages here. This is purely, if you have an idea of what items you're looking for, you can come here and find them much easier. So you would input keywords, you can add limiters based off the metadata field. Now, to give you an example of what the basic search would look like. If you were to search something like Marion, you will get all these items, and obviously because it's Marion's scrapbook, we have a lot of results. So you have a lot of these items, but then you will also have these exhibit pages. So this is a good way of finding additional resources within the website is by using the basic search. So let's look at these additional resources that were all provided by our content committee. So this is the Life and Times page. And here you'll be able to find information on Marion's life, Simmons College, more colleges just in general, and the Boston area, all about the time period while Marion was attending Simmons. Now, for example, the About Marion page has information both about her, all about her life. And one of the great features we've been able to add is all of these pictures on the left are items in the scrapbook. And if you were reading and wanted to look more into it, you could just click it and it'll bring you directly to that item in the scrapbook so you can explore it in more further detail. The next thing, so we'd also be remiss not to mention the beloved cigarette. This was something that was just loose in the scrapbook. I don't know if we could even figure out why it was so significant to Marion, but clearly it was. And it also highlights an important part of why we do this project. As you can see, it wasn't in great shape to begin with. This was one of the first items we actually scanned. And through the process of all of us digitizing all these items and handling the scrapbook, it was not going to make the cigarette better. So the conditions gotten worse, but it's important that we did this because it preserves it forever, or for a much longer period than the physical object would actually remain. Now, we also included For Teachers tab. And here, the content committee provided 2 different lesson plans for different age groups. And you would use Marion's scrapbook as almost like a launching point to further explore what these are like. So, in a nice twist or nice coincidence, Marion was also in Boston during a time of eclipse. We had one just not too long ago. And we have a built lesson plan here for a grade school level. Now, again, like I said before, this is an item from the scrapbook. So if you click on it, it will bring you directly to the item page, and you can further explore it in detail. Now, the content committee has done a great job of also providing supporting digital objects that will help you in this lesson plan. And if you were to click these, it brings you to where those items reside, and you can get even more content there using this. So the last tab that we're going to be talking about is the About the Project. Here you'll be able to read all about the committees and what they've done, and also just want to highlight that here we find your terms of use page. All of this was provided by the Rights Management Committee. It's our copyright statement. You have our citation template as well as conditions of use. And finally, there was a note that one of the debates we had during this was whether to include Marion's educational records or not. And this was something that Rights Management discussed heavily, and eventually we decided to redact them to respect her privacy. So at this time, I'd like to invite up Molly, our wonderful project manager, and she's going to go more into detail about what the project is like.
Thank you, Connor.
All right.
Good morning, everyone. So Connor and Jenny did a wonderful job about talking about what went behind and in front of the project, and I get to talk about the people involved in it. So as you scroll down and you can see the wonderful whole group, minus Candy because she wasn't able to attend that day, you can get to find out more about the individuals here. So you can scroll down, you can get some more info on Candy as you please, and you can see some indulgent photos of as well as committee by committee descriptions. Connor later on will be giving you some numeric values for the project, and I too wanted to give you some numeric values for the people. We had 22 students in this class, we had 1 professor, we had 10 committees, we had 19 donors. So that's a pretty good crew behind one website, behind one scrapbook. We had over 500 Google Drive documents shared between us and counting. We completed 87 tasks that I tracked. And we had 12 weeks of class, and in those 12 weeks, we exchanged 7,376 Slack messages. So you can tell we were communicating. And that's kind of what you can grab from analytics, but what's more important is to hear the actual people and committees speak. So I, as project manager, got to work with each of these committees, which was a joy, and I got to watch everyone develop their own body of work, which was really incredible. So From the start to the finish, you all have really done it, and now it's time to hear from the committees. So we will start with content, and a representative will speak from each committee.
Hi all, my name is Stephen Toropov. I acted as the co-chair of the content committee alongside Katie Hall, my other co-chair, and Nicole Chrishley and Chris Gladstone. We acted as the primary researchers and writers for the project. Primarily we wrote the sections of the website that are the life and times and for teachers, but we also acted as an on-call research team whenever somebody in metadata or rights or somebody needed something written quickly or needed to know something about Marion's life and times. We were the people who had to be able to contextualize everything in this scrapbook in a place of it being a real item and not just a thing on a page. I'd like to thank my team for working so very hard on this, and I'm excited for our creation to go out in the world. I also want to thank Jason for helping with so many random questions and archive requests at like 3:30 on a Saturday. Thank you, Jason.
Great.
My pleasure.
All right, thank you, content. So now we will move to descriptive metadata as about the project dictates.
So Emily, David, and I were the descriptive metadata committee. We were in charge of overseeing all aspects of the cataloging of the items in the scrapbook. So we started by creating an instruction manual for the class to use to create the records. We were available for support during the process, and then at the end we did all the final record edits. The class cataloged, I'll give some more numbers, 308 items over 88 pages, 309 items. So this is a lot, and not everyone's an expert cataloger, so we tried to develop a process that was relatively simple, but also with metadata that was usable and sensible for users. So hope that comes across when you're using the scrapbook. We're happy to answer any other questions if you'd like to know more about the work we did.
Thank you, metadata. And now representative from digitization.
Hi everyone, my name is Mackenzie. I want everyone in my group to raise their hand really quick. So we have Chris, Jess in the back, and Kelly here. So digitization has a very big task, creating basically 800 images and delegating the work to everyone in the class. So what we did is we first went through every page in the scrapbook and we basically created a grid to explain each item on the page and to get a number for how many images that we needed, and we created a detailed inventory. And then we assigned each one of those images and scans to a different person in the group. And they would come in and basically take the images based on a very detailed manual that we did. And then once all the images were created, we were able to go through and QC it. So that was digitization.
Thank you. And now to environmental scan. Jenny.
So for environmental scan, you guys can raise your hand too. There's Connor, Shay, and Dom back. And what we did, the best part about this committee was that it was the first one that was finished. It only lasted for the first few weeks of class. But we had a lot of work to do. And what we did is we went out and found other digital libraries out in the world, and then narrowed it down with Candy's help down to about 4 that we created a survey for, so that the class could look at all the different aspects of those digital libraries and decide kind of what we wanted. So we looked specifically at presentation, navigation and searching, images and image manipulation, metadata, and special features, so that we could look at the good things and the bad things. We created a survey, the class filled it out, and then we presented those results to the class. So in order for us to figure out exactly what we wanted to use on our scrapbook.
Thank you. And now usability.
So the Evaluation and Usability Committee was comprised of 3 members, myself, Steve, and Toropov, and I don't quite see Chris here, that's all right. And so we were responsible for sort of ferreting out potential issues with both a paper prototype of the digital library and then as well, to some extent, a live demo version. And so we researched evaluation within digital libraries. We ran 5 usability tests, and then we compiled those results into a final report that we presented to our systems committee friends. And so that hopefully led to a more effective and fun-filled website for researchers going forward. And I'll just follow up with Stephen. Thank you again for all of your work.
And now marketing.
Hello again. I was the chair of the marketing committee, but it was really just Jenny and I tag teaming it. It was just the two of us on the committee, although Candy was very helpful and sat in on, I think, 80 to 90% of our meetings, which was very appreciated. And our main task was threefold, was branding and imaging for the library. The color palette that you see and the buttons and the logo is all really created by Jenny. She was a creative mind behind it. The second main part was fundraising, and we did this mostly through GoFundMe. We also had a very successful bake sale in November. And finally was presenting this, doing the unveiling, was our final task. So thank you.
Great. And now preservation.
Hi, I'm Lena. I'm all the way back here, sorry. The rest of our committee is Dom, Nicole, and Stephen. And our purpose in this class is to take all of the materials that everyone has created in order to make this website work. That includes the digital images, all of the metadata, what the systems committee has created for the structure of the website, content for it from the content committee, all of that, and make sure that it is transferred to stable media so that people can access it in the future. So our job, unlike Environmental Scan, who finished really early, our job actually isn't done yet. Up till now, most of what we've done is a lot of planning to figure out what process we'll be using. We started moving some images onto their kind of permanent location homes, and the rest of that work will continue after this event is over and through the weekend. So we're not quite done yet, but our goal is to make sure that all of this is still accessible in the future.
Thank you, preservation. And now rights management.
Hi, I'm Shay, and with Katie and Lena, we form the Rights Management Committee. As it turns out, rights are super important for a project like this. We need to make sure, one, that we actually have the rights, including copyright, and we're not limited to copy and distribute and put online all these things. And we also need to figure out what rights we want to grant others of the things that we've produced here. And so we learned a lot about copyright, and we looked at every item in the scrapbook to determine what its copyright status is, what our justification for using it is, as well as develop the terms of use statement that you see, and the rights metadata statement on that page. And we provided rights advice to other committees as needed, mostly marketing and content.
Thank you, Rex. And now systems.
I am Dave. Systems, the subcommittee was me, Becky, Sawyer, and Johanna. As you already heard, our job was to take the work of the rest of the class, basically, and make it into a website. We chose to use the open source platform Omeka for the website, and we took general direction on how the website worked from the environmental scan and class feedback. And the design direction came from marketing. We got the logo colors from them. We prepared wireframes for the class to go over and usability to test on. And then we took all of the metadata and digital scans from the entire class and imported it into the website and developed a personal or customized theme for Omeka that you see there. It is branded there. So that was our job.
Yeah. And let's do an extra round for systems. Systems was the most communicative. They sent the most messages to the staff. So extra bonus. And most hours worked. So there you go. Also an important group of people to give voice to that maybe not all are here are our donors. So we'd like to thank Bill and Amy Brown, Claire Connors, Tori and Lynn Gladstone, Barry and Lorelei Darling, Gail Schechter, Lindsay Deal, Elizabeth Saltman, Maggie Anderson, Barbara Stoops, Joe Holt, Jane Moore, Jenny Ray Bailey, Candy Schwartz, Jenny Durant, Laura Wilson Gentry, and anonymous donors. So let's give them a round of applause.
So I mentioned that marketing's main tasks were branding, imaging, fundraising, and like that. But there was one other task that we had, and I know everybody in the class's favorite part of the project was sending me the hours they worked each week every Sunday. One of the best parts of my Sunday was sitting down and getting all these messages. So there's no foolproof way of calculating the cost of this project. We didn't take into account things like overhead or benefits that you'd have to pay to employees, or what the actual digitizing the scanning beds would cost. This is more just to figure out how much hours we worked and what the cost would be for those amount of hours. So At the end, our total amount of hours worked was 2,175 total hours. This is 90 days worth, or if you want to count it another way, 111 Harry Potter marathons. Or for Candy, I know it's 197 Lord of the Rings marathons. So once we had a total accounting of all the hours worked, it was by committee. It was trying to find out what the hourly rate would be for a librarian doing that type of work. Some of them had very easy one-to-one comparisons, like a metadata librarian or a systems tech librarian, whereas other committees like evaluation and usability, environmental scan, these are roles that librarians would kind of do all of, so there's no real one-to-one ratio. That being said, each one came out to roughly between $20 to $25 an hour. There were some outliers like systems, which was $29 an hour, and the project manager is roughly $30 an hour. So using this method, it came out to just under $47,000. This is a tad high, but we're all librarians, we all agree that we should be paid a lot more. So I think as long as we go forward saying we should be paid more, someone eventually will start paying. So that's all we have today. I'm just going to turn it over to Jenny for one last item.
So Candy, can you come forward? You knew it was going to happen.
I'm holding it together.
So for those of you that don't know, and there probably aren't very many of you who don't know, Candy is going to be retiring at the end of this semester, which is rapidly approaching. And she has been teaching here at Simmons College since 1980, 37 years. She created the first SLIS website, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And do you have a server named after you?
I did at one point, but that's long gone.
Oh, okay. And so she is beloved here at Simmons College. She is a gem. We have a gift for you, and there are some little notes inside that you don't need to look at right now, but you need to pull this part out.
This part?
No,
This part?
this part.
That part. Oh.
There wasn't an obvious Marion thing, and so we had talked about taking the extra money to.
Wow. It's my own in the font of Marion.
Yes.
Candy Schwartz mug.
And it says.
It says the, on the verso. It says the most notable woman of Simmons College.
Candy wanted a German chocolate cake, and
So we
she
got
said
her
there
a
were
German
no
chocolate.
German chocolate cakes to be found, but we found you a German
A
chocolate.
German chocolate cake. Thank you. And
You
have
can
the
eat
hand
that or
pocket
share it or
ready.
not, that's up to you.
All right, thank you. Wow, this is great. All right. Thank you.
So before we enjoy all the cake that we have and all the other food, is there any questions that people would like to ask and we could try and answer? Anybody have any questions?
I have a question. How did you determine which committee you were going to be on?
So at the beginning, within the first week, we had to send Candy a list of our 3 preferred committees, as well as the other assignments that we were going to be doing throughout the semester, and she just tried to match us up with what skills we had for stuff like systems, where I think we're all thankful that I was out on the systems. One of my first choices and didn't realize what I was getting into. So she matched them up with what worked best and what people put. So we all, I think everybody got their first 3/3 options.
Among their top 3, at least.
Yeah.
That's one of the hardest things I have to do at the beginning of the semester is figure all that out. But mostly, I always say this, but it's kind of like I wind this up at the beginning of the semester and then it unwinds itself and like clockwork. Well, that's a slight exaggeration, but it unwinds itself over the semester, and I kind of just keep an eye on things, but really the project manager manages everything happening when it needs to, and I sort of will put a foot in here and there when needed and meet with individual committees. I don't have a huge amount of influence. I try not to have a huge amount of influence on how this turns out, because as far as I'm concerned, this is a committee-driven, full of students, but just an ordinary committee-driven process. So I will put my foot down at very, very few points. So I just sit back and it happens. I'm going to miss it. But Jeffrey is here. He will be taking it over next semester. Jeff Pomerantz, who will be our new, what's your technical term, visiting professor?
Visiting professor.
Visiting professor. He'll be in my office. So it's got good vibes and a lot of dust. And a couple of small things I'm leaving behind, including a little half bust of me, so I'll be watching over you.
That's not creepy at all.
Anybody else have questions?
Cake, mention the cake.
Kelly is in the back of the room cutting the cake as we speak, and we would very much like you to eat it. So please get some. It has strawberry filling.
Ooh. And eat more, because otherwise we have to figure out how to take it home.
Yes, so please do that.
Yeah. So I'd like to, on my behalf, I'd like to thank this entire class. This is my last time teaching this class. This is a great bunch of students, and we did some exceptional work. And you know, you see this part of it, which is the exceptional work of Simmons, but I hope by listening to what Molly was saying about all the groups that you see that there's a whole bunch of other amazing work that has to go on to make this happen as well. The people who were most sleepless in the last week were systems and these guys, probably. Preservation, of course, is still going. But there was a lot of just, everybody had to keep going all semester continually, and these guys did a great job. So I would like to give them a round of applause. Can you scroll that up a bit?
Yes.
This picture of Marion, to me, this could be today. I mean, look at this hat and this look. I think that's a great picture of Marion. Really, have a look at the scrapbook. Not that one. You can look at that one. Have a look at it. You'll see she's a really interesting person. All right. So, cake.
If there are no further questions, please just enjoy the food and hang out for a little while.
Yeah. Thank you. Good job.